Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda and welcome to this episode of Ignition Time. Thank you so much for being a viewer. Thank you so much for being a subscriber. I'm in my red, white and blue shirt today. I have my flag. I'm good to go. I have some important news for my viewers and subscribers today. I want to welcome you to the Ignition Time community. If you're not a member of our community yet, please consider clicking the subscribe button. Please enable notifications so you get instant updates from us going forward. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. This is a little bit of information about me. You'll learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. And the Ignition Time channel is about important matters, crucial matters that impact the country, crucial matters that impact the economy, and by extension, matters that impact your money, the amount of money you have in your pocket. Right now, as we speak, we are waiting for word from House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, their response to the latest, the two-part proposal from the bipartisan group. And I gotta tell you, the Problem Solvers Caucus deserve a lot of credit for this because they are the ones who set the whole thing in motion. They had actually tried unsuccessfully before the election to propose a $1.5 trillion package, which the White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows had said was a framework for a deal, but nothing happened before the election. Now we live in a completely different set of circumstances after the election. I've mentioned this before. This whole thing is like a game of chess. You see the chessboard here, and you see all the chess pieces moving. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi has changed her position. The Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has kept changing his position, and the President also, President Trump, has also kept changing his position. In the end, our regular folk, everyday Americans, are suffering, and I believe no one did a better job of explaining this, outlining it, and empathizing than the former Republican governor from the state of Ohio, John Kasich. John Kasich actually was the governor in Ohio, the Republican governor in Ohio from 2011 all the way through to 2019. And so I think Kasich said some very important things in a recent interview, and I'm actually going to play you these segments because I believe that he outlines what we are feeling. And if you watch this interview closely, I do want you to watch the video all the way through to the end because I'm going to include important comments from Warren Buffett as well. And Warren Buffett actually called this an economic war. He said that small businesses are, I quote, collateral damage. Just some astonishing comments, which are actually true comments from business leaders like Warren Buffett. But John Kasich actually outlined why our lawmakers, why congressmen, congresswomen, most of them anyway, and why senators are not understanding the reality on the ground. And he said there's a difference between knowing something and really understanding something. Let's take a look at the first segment with John Kasich, former Republican governor from Ohio, where he says, it makes you want to cry. Americans waiting in food lines for hours deserve better. Just some very heartfelt comments from John Kasich. Let's roll the tape and see what he had to say while we wait for a response from House Speaker Pelosi, from her conversations with U.S. Secretary Steve Mnuchin, and most importantly, the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, because he's the one who decides whether this whole proposal that we heard in the past 24 hours comes to the floor of the Senate for a vote. Let's start by hearing what John Kasich had to say, and I do believe he understands what we are going through, what most of us are going through. Let's roll the tape and listen to John Kasich.
Right now, once again, is former Republican governor of Ohio, John Kasich, who's also a senior CNN political commentator. Thanks for coming back in. Let's pick up where we left off, because this is what we were going to get to. Governor, you look upset. Why are you upset?
Well, these are people. They can't pay their bills, and they want to. These stories of these people in a car, Kate, waiting 4 hours to get food at a food bank. It breaks my heart because I don't know. It's because maybe I thank the Lord that I can kind of think about them and realize that, they deserve better. I mean, and we also can help demand that the government provide some aid, which they should do. But maybe we also need to think what we can do, even if it's a little bit of stuff that we can do for somebody else. Think about this. These are people maybe in the gig economy. They lost their jobs. They got no food. What could you imagine that? They have no food. It says here the homeless are washing themselves. I was a lot of controversy when I expanded Medicaid. I was like the first Republican governor to do it. And people were mad. Oh, you love Obama or whatever. I said, wait a minute. There's 600,000 people that if I don't do this, they're not going to get health care. They're going to be living under a bridge or in jail. And we can't treat people like that. And remember the great biblical quote about, did you feed the neighbor? Because if you didn't feed the neighbor, you didn't feed me. That's the word from the Lord. And when I look at this, it makes you want to cry, right? And then you got people in D.C. and they're fighting with one another. And it's, look, I've been in many negotiations. I was there when we went through government shutdowns.
Right.
But at some point, when it's something that's got people on the line, their lives, and when they don't get these kinds of things, Kate, think about what happens to them from the mental health aspect, the psychological aspect. You heard the guy say, it's like I'm not even a man because I can't feed my family. So what's failed to happen down there is take off the title, take off all that phony armor, and think about what people need. And sometimes you got to make a little compromise that you don't like to have to make, but so what, in the long run, people are better off.
In the second segment, and I thought this was extremely instructive, he talked about the VIP treatment that our lawmakers get, both congressmen, congresswomen, as well as senators. You know, people move out of the way when you're talking. Someone, goes and brings you your meals, and people are hesitant to talk to you, and people look at you with a lot of reverence. Wherever you go, you're a VIP. You know, when you're traveling, people come up to you and speak with you respectfully, maybe ask you for autographs, and you're paid well. You know, salaries are well over six figures, including premium healthcare benefits for our lawmakers. I'm not saying this is bad. I'm telling you what is, and it's up to you to decide whether this is good or whether this is bad. I'm just stating facts to you. So this is what Kasich said. Kasich said Congress needs to understand the real problem that real people have. And he said sometimes when you're sitting up in your ivory tower, you don't understand the suffering that our normal everyday Americans are going through. While our lawmakers argue about liability protection and aid for state and local governments and funding for vaccine distribution, all of which are important, the real life problems faced by those in travel, leisure, entertainment, and hospitality are: how do I make rent? How do I put food on the table? How do I keep the lights on? That is what Kasich is talking about. Let's take a look at this segment again, which is very instructive, and you can see how emotional Kasich gets in this rather interesting segment of this interview. Let's roll the tape.
But that's what I don't get. These people live in every state. These people are the constituents of every member of Congress. This isn't one region that was hit by a hurricane that needs some help. This is everywhere. And that's why it's so unbelievable that they can't find how to get to yes. You've been in the halls of Congress. What do you say to the leaders?
I could have been better. I could have been better.
Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, Chuck Schumer. Like, what do you say to them right now?
You got to think, here's part of the problem, Kate. So you're down there in Congress, right? Everybody knows, the guards know who your name is. You go through a door. They open the door for you. Oh, Congressman this, Senator this. And you go, you don't have to go through any kind of x-ray machine because you're important and you wear a badge. And then you go up on the floor and people sit up in the gallery and they watch you, and they're up there and you're down here and you're important and people get out of your way and they tell you what you want to hear. But there's an element of that takes you away. And I'm not trying to be mean here about anybody. It takes you away from understanding the problems, the real problems that real people have.
There's no way they
can't
understand. I mean, if they don't understand the problems with the pandemic, then they should walk off the job right now. This is not a hard one.
And I mentioned the Problem Solvers Caucus earlier. John Kasich actually gives credit to what he calls the runt group of the Problem Solvers Caucus, basically implying that they are a rogue group, implying that they are outsiders, implying that they are not part of the leadership, all of which is true. But sometimes it takes a group of outsiders. It takes, the nerds in class to get the popular kids to pay attention to them, which is essentially what he's implying. Very interesting segment from John Kasich as he acknowledges the efforts of the Problem Solvers Caucus and also highlights the fact that they are the ones who essentially got this whole thing in motion, got us to where we are today. Now, we are not past the finish line yet. Let me be clear about that. But it's important to acknowledge people like Josh Gottheimer, Democrat from New Jersey, like Tom Reed, Republican from New York, who basically got the other influential senators, all of whom I highlighted yesterday extensively on our channel. But they're the ones who got the influential group of senators on board this new two-part stimulus plan that could see a vote on the floor of the Senate, and that depends on Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. I do believe House Speaker Nancy Pelosi is likely to get on board because we did see some indications yesterday that the House Speaker was, from representatives of the House Speaker, that the Democrats were willing to set aside state and local aid for now. And we have heard from Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell that he's willing to maybe not make liability the red line and not make it the deal breaker right now. So I do think we're edging closer to the finish line. But again, full credit to the Problem Solvers Caucus. Let's see what John Kasich had to say. Let's roll the tape.
There's a difference between, and I'm making an excuse for them, there's a difference between understanding there's a problem and seeing it. Putting yourself in the shoes of somebody that doesn't have anything in order to get this deal done. And I think they will. And I want to salute the Problem Solver Caucus.
You think they're going to?
I think they're going to have to. I think in order to get the government to stay open, I think they'll get something. I think something will happen. And these problem solvers, this is a kind of a rump group of of House members and senators who are sitting down trying to work things out. One of the leaders, a guy named Tom Reed. I think very highly of him. He's a Republican. I know that there are people of good hearts who want to work through these issues, the liability issue, aid to state and local. I had talked to a senator not long ago, well, back in the beginning of the stimulus package, about how many weeks do we give them a payment? I said, and I'm the guy that balanced the budget with my friends. I mean, there's nothing that I care about more than the fiscal health of our country, and the debt is rising, and it's terrible. It could inflict us. But at the same time, Kate, we got to help these people. They're going to lose their homes. They're hungry. Their families are distraught. We got to do it, please.
We never have enough time, Governor. But I know, and Tom Reed we've had him on the show often. He and the problem solvers, they are working in good faith, but they're not going to get anything done unless they're not though, unless they have the leadership who just get past it and get
sometimes
to a
the
yes.
leaders. Yeah, Kate, sometimes the leaders stand aside and they let other people kind of solve it and then they embrace it. That's what I hope will happen. We got to keep on this story. Please.
The message from John Kasich is stand aside, let the problem solvers actually solve the problem.
And I've talked about businesses in travel, leisure, entertainment, and hospitality being impacted the worst in this pandemic. Individuals who can work from home, remote learning companies or remote learning businesses, anybody who can work from home has essentially bounced back. But there are some individuals who've lost their jobs forever. I did do another video on our channel talking about the restaurant owner in California who basically was asking for action to be taken, was asking for some sort of a solution from our lawmakers. Today, Warren Buffett was interviewed on CNBC, the legendary investor from Omaha. And by the way, I've read all of Warren Buffett's books. I hold the Berkshire Hathaway stock, and I pay close attention to what Warren Buffett says because I do believe that he's someone that many of us, most of us, should listen to. So here's what Warren Buffett said today. He said, shutdowns have killed the economics, I quote, killed the economics of small and medium-sized restaurants through no fault of their own. And he said, we are in the middle of an economic war and action needs to be taken to help businesses, specifically small and medium-sized businesses, because when you've been working for decades to build your restaurant business, keep in mind, restaurants have very small margins. They're not like, other businesses like software that have 100%, 200% margins. If it costs you maybe $3 to produce a sandwich and you sell it for $6, you're not making that much money because you have rent, you have bills to pay, you have utilities, you have salaries to pay. And so the restaurant business is one of the most difficult businesses to run. I actually had the opportunity to buy several restaurants last year and a couple of years ago. I decided not to. I simply invest in single family homes because of the tax advantages. But man, restaurants are very, very, very tough businesses to run. In most cases, they are a labor of love. If you're a restaurant owner, God bless you. I hope you get through this. But what Warren Buffett said once again is shutdowns kill the economics of small and medium-sized restaurants through no fault of their own, and we are in an economic war. Let's listen to the Oracle of Omaha in his own words, and let's roll the tape today from CNBC.
The Fed did a terrific job. They saved us from something that would have been a lot worse than 2008 and 9 when they acted in March. So large companies who, in the middle of March, early March, were going to have no access to capital. The market just opened wide, and the corporate issuance was huge. But the small businesses received some help, but it's not getting them to the end of the tunnel. And you see a situation. Just take food. Food manufacturers, the big ones, have done terrifically. People haven't quit eating, and the large grocery chains have done very well. Margins of wine sales have been good, but if you had to get your food in a small restaurant or medium-sized restaurant, and social distancing was required and everything, you just killed the economics for somebody that may have been working for decades with their family to build a business and reinvested the earnings in improving their establishment, and then through no fault of their own, an edict comes along that kills all their dreams. And it would be so foolish to not follow through on this. and enable those people to get back to where they could do the kind of business they were doing before. It's an economic war, and certain, when we went into World War II, a lot of industries were shut down, and everything went over to defense production. Well, we've shut down a lot of people in this particular induced recession, and others are prospering, and I think that the country owes it to the really millions of small business people, and I've met a lot of these people through the Goldman Sachs program. Just renew the PPP and get us to the end of the tunnel.
And in the next segment, Warren Buffett essentially outlines the fact that small businesses have become collateral damage. The big companies that have good banking relationships got PPP loans. We know lots of people that got PPP loans that shouldn't have. Now, let me be clear. I believe the PPP program is a good program with the right intentions, but it was rolled out so quick that a lot of big companies that didn't really need the money got the loans and laid off people anyway. Just astonishing. So what Warren Buffett said is small businesses have become collateral damage in a war that our country needed to fight. And he said Congress must act, and he believes Congress will do something, because there really is no other option. Let's roll the tape and listen to the Oracle of Omaha, Warren Buffett, again today on CNBC.
You have not spoken publicly since the last annual meeting back in May for Berkshire Hathaway. You weren't planning on speaking publicly again until the next one this coming May. Why are you taking time today to talk about this issue right now?
Well, I think it's so important that small businesses, which have become collateral damage in a war that our country needed to fight, but we in effect voluntarily had an induced shutdown of parts of the economy, and it hit many types of small businesses very, very hard, and we made some provision for that in March in terms of the CARES Act, but then nobody really knew how long the this self-inflicted recession would last, and with this particular effect on small businesses. So we needed another injection to complete the job, and Congress is debating that right now, and I just hope very much that they extend the PPP plan on a large scale to let the people who may see the end of the light at the end of the tunnel get to the end of the tunnel. But so it's very timely, it's very important. And I do think Congress will do something, and I hope they step up very soon, because every day is important.
Might make people wonder why big business leaders are stepping out and speaking on behalf of some of those small businesses. What is it that concerns you about this? Why is this an issue that you're really putting yourself out there with?
Well, big businesses generally have done very well. Not if they were travel and entertainment related, they still have difficulties, but the Fed did a terrific job. They saved us from something that would have been a lot worse than 2008 and 9 when they acted in March. So large companies who in the middle of March, early March, were going to have no access to capital. The market just opened wide, and the corporate issuance was huge. But the small businesses receive some help, but it's not getting them to the end of not getting them to the end of the tunnel.
That's it, everybody. Let me know what you think of comments from John Kasich, former Republican governor of Ohio from 2011 to 2019, and Warren Buffett, the acclaimed investor, the Oracle of Omaha, about where we are right now. The fact that it's just unbearable what's going on right now. I believe that Warren Buffett says that small and medium-sized businesses are collateral damage, and the fact that restaurant owners have essentially been decimated, that the economics have been killed through no fault of their own. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. You'll find a link to all of our resources in the description section below. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. I really appreciate you watching. Remember, the Ignition Time channel is about the country, it's about the economy, and it's about your money. We cover matters that are important to the country, that impact the economy, that in turn impact your wallet. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. If you don't know anything about me, here's my video. You'll learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. If you have a moment, check out my video. I have the fortune, the honor, the privilege of living the American dream. And as we recover from this madness, from this horrific crisis, I want to help you live your American dream. So please make sure you click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications so you get instant updates from our channel going forward. We release videos at 2 p.m. East Coast time most days of the week. That's 2 p.m. If you want to get added to our SMS alerts list, our text messaging alerts list, all you have to do is simply get your cell phone out, send a text message with the word ignition or with the word time in the body of the text message, and then send that text message to 70,000. That's 70000. You'll get added to our SMS alerts list, and then you can opt out of the alerts list at any time. You'll get breaking news, important information that impacts the country, important information that impacts the economy, and important information that affects your money. We'll also release information about any important programs we might release, which are going to be very, very limited if and when we release them, because it's a time commitment for me. So I'll let you know if that happens. Also, you can get added to our email list. Simply go to ignitiontime.com/alerts. That's ignitiontime.com/alerts. You'll get added to our email list. You can opt out of the emails at any point in time that you want. No worries about that. No concerns. You can opt out of the email list or the SMS list at any point in time that you want. Speaking of notifications, sometimes, not always, YouTube does not always send out notifications on time. What they do is sometimes there's a delay with the notifications. It happens. So all you have to do is simply bookmark youtube.com/ignition time. That's youtube.com/ignition time. And then you can visit the homepage of our channel through your browser anytime you want, and you're not dependent on notifications from YouTube. So you might find that valuable. Speaking of valuable, follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is ignition_time. That's ignition_time. You'll get exclusive content specifically as an Instagram follow. You can also follow us on Twitter. Simply follow us on Twitter at ignition_time, the same handle as Instagram. You'll get breaking news and alerts from us on Twitter about all things that are important to the country, the economy, and money. So make sure you follow us on Twitter as well. Again, my name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda. The one thing I encourage you to do is comment below. Our community is very respectful, it's bipartisan, it's highly intelligent, and it's growing very quickly. So I think you'll make some new friends in our community. So please make sure you participate in our community. A healthy debate is always welcome. We can agree to disagree. I believe that's what makes us great as a country and as a people. So make sure you comment below. Also, share this video with friends and family. I need your help. I really need your help to grow our community, and I would greatly appreciate that. Finally, all I ask you to do is please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications. That tells the YouTube algorithm that you found the content helpful. That really helps us out at the channel. We work very hard behind the scenes to put together all of this content, to organize the content, and to present it to you in a fair and balanced manner. I want you to remember, for us at the Ignition Time channel, it's not about the red or the blue. It's simply about the red, white, and blue. It's not about being a Democrat or a Republican. It's about being an American first. We are all Americans first. And that is what makes the Ignition Time channel unique. I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much for watching. Always remember, you'll find a link to all of our resources in the description section below. So make sure you check out the description section to get links to our resources. I really appreciate you watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.